just joined from wherever we're up to. So welcome, and I'm really excited for this cooking demo as part of the Women's Circle. And it's such a tricky time now. Every time the email went out, there was a different update and a different change, and it's just these times are not like they used to be. And we're hoping to get back on track really soon. But one thing that we did gain is that now we could have programs and events with people from anywhere because we're on Zoom. So Mushky is a friend, and she is also the Rebbitzin of the YJP in Northeast LA. And she also, the way I think what she's like her food fame is she started way back when a Facebook group. It started with MaMenu, where she would share her recipes for Shabbos, and they always looked amazing. And whenever we asked, like, where's this recipe from, she would put like the whole, rundown with every link, where she got each one, how she tweaked each recipe. And I don't know where she finds the strength to come up with such creative, different recipes every Shabbos. If I put one new thing on the table each week, I give myself a big pat on the back. So hoping to get some real Passover inspiration for some new, fresh ideas of foods that we could serve at our Seder, serve during the week, and make it a tasty Passover. So welcome, Mushky. I'm going to pin your video.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Yeah, you hear me well? Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name is Mushky. Thank you so much, Mussy, for having me here today and letting me be a part of your Women's Circle. It's nice to be here, nice to be with you all, nice to be in your kitchens. And yes, seeing that silver lining of these Zoom meetings, they're kind of fun, that I can be in my kitchen, you can be in yours, or on your couch. And it's just nice to connect and meet new people. And I'm originally from Montreal, Canada, born and raised. And after my husband and I got married, we lived at first in Israel. And we lived really right across the street of the Machane Yehuda Shuk, the giant open farmer's market. And so I was there probably every single day. I didn't have any cookbooks with me. I was a newlywed. Back in the day, I loved to bake. I was like my mom's baker and salad dressing maker. That was my job in the family. But living so close to the shuk, it really opened me up to just this whole world of fresh produce and fresh protein, the fish, the meat, everything there was so fresh and so beautiful and so seasonal. Everything was just, coming fresh, and, if strawberries were in season, you saw them. If they weren't, they were nowhere to be found, so it really taught me so much just about fruits and vegetables and about chicken, meat, fish, everything. It was really my first time learning how to properly cook and experiment without using any cookbooks, really, just with YouTube and Google. And so from there, that's about 9 years ago. So from there, that really opened me up and really got me started on this foodie journey. And then from there, we lived in Cape Town, South Africa. And from there was thrown into a whole nother world of cooking. And look, we got to eat 3 meals a day. There's nothing like, I'll just wing it. You really have to, when you're living in a space like that, you really have to learn it and figure out how it works and really just do it. So Cape Town really also just opened me up in a whole new creative way. After Cape Town, we lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. So from there, we moved down south, and that also just a whole nother Southern cooking world. And then 5 years ago, we moved here to Los Angeles. And here we run the Nila Chabad. We work with the young professionals here in Echo Park, Los Angeles. So very similar to what Mussy does. So again, thank you all so much for having me. I've done a little bit of online courses on like scientific sort of cooking. So in addition to my like hands-on experience, I've done some of the scientific side of that as well. And but 5 years ago, starting our Chabad here, I really wanted to step up our Shabbat experience, our Shabbat table experience. So I was making the typical foods every week, the foods I grew up on, and, they're delicious. They're really, really awesome. And then I realized, you know what, I want to take this up a notch. I started writing these menus. Like, you know, we're not going to make just a typical challah. We're going to make it like a different kind of challah with like olives and sun-dried tomatoes or beer bread. I got super into beer bread, you know, all these different things. And I started creating these menus that really just, you know, take away from the typical Shabbat meal to something a bit next level. So from there, I started publishing these menus online and, you know, sharing them with friends and family. And that turned into a Facebook group. And then now I run an Instagram page and a website. And it's all the menus and recipes that I create are there on the recipe card, MaMenu.com. And MaMenu is a twist on my menu. And it's also the Yiddish word for mother. So it's all about the love and the homey cooking and the memories we have of our mother's food, and, you know, the love that we give to our children in our food, and, you know, just these memories of a lifetime. So we're going to get started. We're going to work our way through this recipe packet at any point.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. I sent most people the recipes, but if I missed you by accident, I popped the file into the chat box. So everything she's making tonight, you could just download it from the chat. Beautiful recipe cards, and you'll have it to refer back to. So just so you know that it's there.
Yeah, thank you, Mussy. Yeah, so you have it there. You can save it to your computer, to your phone, and you could have it anytime. You can share it with friends. I'm totally okay with that. And the recipes here, we're just going to kind of go through them and one at a time. And I would love for you to just pipe in with questions at any point, comments, and let's do this. So we're going to start with this sangria, and I'm still working on opening my bottle here. Okay. Woo! L'chaim. We're going to start with this sangria. Ooh, that like went right up. And it's really fun for Passover and really for year-round. I would say all these recipes are super for year-round as well, but it's fun for Passover because, you know, we go back to the non-processed foods, and we go back to really just the utter simplicity of our produce, of our fruits, our vegetables, our citrus, the colors, all of that. So really, I love Passover for that. It's just so fresh, so healthy. You know, leave out the flour, except the matzah, I know, but, you know, leave it out, and with all the heavy cakes and stuff, and really just keep to the simplicity. So with our sangria, let me lower my camera so you can see my area over here. Okay, so I have my glass behind me. So I'm doing it with a sweet, bubbly, sparkling red wine. You can do this with a dry wine. You can do this with a semi-sweet wine. You can do this with a white wine, red wine, rosé. It's entirely up to you. Every single wine will work. If you like the drier kind, then, you know, it will have that drier taste because you don't have all that sweetness in it. But that's delicious without, you know, because you have all the fruits. So I have my glass here, and I have the recipe either just per glass, or if you see at the bottom, you can do a pitcher using the full bottle. So here I'm just going to go with the 1 cup because it's just me today. So I am going to just grab a measuring cup. I forgot to prepare that. And let's go ahead. This one is a Kedem pink champagne. The one I have behind me is a Joyvin. I saw it in the store. I totally grew up on this one for Passover, so I got excited to see it. But these are just the sweet kosher wines, non-expensive, simple. Really whatever you have on hand is good. So we're going to start with a half a cup of sweet red wine. And while I'm doing this, please grab a drink, a cup of wine, a seltzer, some water, some beer. Let's enjoy ourselves together. Let's make a l'chaim. Okay, so we have a half a cup of sweet red wine that I'm going to be squeezing in a half an orange. So I'm just using this lemon squeezer. I love this one. It's perfect, you know, keeps the pits out. It's perfect. So I'm going to squeeze in my half an orange right in to my wine. I'm going to do the same with a half a lemon. Uh-oh, I got it stuck because it's really made for a lemon, not an orange. Okay, you know they come in orange and in green for the oranges and the lime. and the green ones for the limes. But I just have a yellow lime one, so I stuck that orange in. Okay, and now here are the half a lemon. So you see here it has all those pits. So what this just does is keeps the pits out and keeps it clean and easy, very easy to wash. I love this one. Okay, so a half a lemon squeezed, a handful of blueberries, 2 strawberries sliced right here. So drop that in, and honestly use whatever fruit you have on hand. You don't need to make a special shopping trip for this. You know, slice anything up and put it in it. It'll be delicious. Okay, and the other half of the orange, I have it as slices. So you can put in just a few slices and top it with a mint. I'll do the ice first, just a couple of ice to keep it cold. And then we top it with some mint. All right. So you have this beautiful, colorful, so fruity drink here. And this, you know, if you have your kids coming over, some family, some friends, or not, for yourself, just for you, do this for you. You deserve it. And l'chaim, everyone. I want to wish you all a kosher and really happy Passover this year. Last year was crazy. I hope this year is much, much better than last year's. And I want to wish you all health. Really, we learned this year that health is all that matters. Wealth, happiness, and just time to enjoy it all and all the blessings. Nachat from your children and joy, true joy and happiness. And l'chaim, baruch atah Adonai.
L'chaim looks good.
L'chaim, share your drinks with me over here. I'd love to see what you're drinking. All right, we got some wine. Good. Perfect. All right.
I made sangria with you, Mushky. Just didn't have blueberry.
Perfect. Show it. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so let's move along now to the second recipe here in our booklet, which is a spring salad with avocado dressing. I'm just going to slide this tray out of the way and pull my salad tray in. Okay. And here is my salad. All right. I am going to actually grab the cutting board here. Keep that close by. Okay. So our salad is just a spring salad. It's really any delicious vegetables that you have on hand, anything that you love. I find that with salad, once you have a really good dressing, the salad itself, the vegetables that go in there don't really matter. Okay. So really just don't sweat all the ingredients, making sure you have everything. Just go with what you have and what you love and what's fresh and crunchy in your fridge, and really just go with that. So the base of my salad is going to be spinach. And again, whatever greens you like, romaine lettuce, spring mix, any greens, arugula, baby kale, regular kale, all of that works. So that is the base of my salad. And then I'm going to go in with, one second, let me see if you can see it properly with me. Okay, next we have a cup of cherry tomatoes halved. So, sorry, so right over here, I have my cherry tomatoes. And the way I like to cut them is not across over here through the middle. I like to cross them lengthwise, so down this way. So you see here, cut like that. I just think they look much prettier this way. Okay, so I just kind of layer it one over the other. And then when I dress it, I just go in and I drizzle that dressing over the whole thing. And I don't like to toss it, okay? I don't want to toss it and get it all mixed together. I like to keep all the layers separate so that when you take your salad, you really see all the elements neatly and clearly. And then this way, when you drizzle the dressing over all of it, you're scooping some for you, right? So you're making sure you get all the layers as well as the dressing on top. And you could kind of toss it in your plate if you find it really needs it. But I think the dressing is runny enough that it just really brings it all together. once you scoop it to your plate. But I love that element. First off, it keeps it from getting too soggy and to, wilts all the greens. And here you really just see all the layers and all the colors. And that's something I love about a fresh, pretty salad. So we have our cherry tomatoes. We have a cucumber. So this is just a small Persian cucumber. I kept the peels on and I'm going to sprinkle that over. But if you're using an English cucumber, use a half a cucumber really, but honestly, just however, as much as you want in your salad. This is going to be a smaller amount than what I've listed here. Okay, because this is really just me eating this after we're done. So I'm keeping it small. Okay, so we have our spinach, cherry tomatoes, and cucumbers. Okay, next up is the diced red pepper. So here I have some. And again, skip whatever vegetables you don't like or you don't have on that. You don't need all of this, it's a lot. Okay, and I just wanted to show you, I used about a half a red pepper here because I am making the smaller salad, but on the recipe it says 1 red pepper diced. But I want to show you the way I cut up my pepper. So I like to, I'll show you from here on the board. Let me bring it closer. I like to cut around the core so that we don't get the seeds all over the place. Okay, so I kind of just start, from one of the parts where it goes in with the knife. And I just go around the core. There we go. Okay, I did cut in some seeds, but mostly it stayed here. And I cut just around it. And you could do the same concept with jalapenos so that you don't get too many seeds and it's not as spicy. And this way your hands don't burn as bad. Like just jalapenos or just with any red pepper, you just kind of go around it. Keep the bottom. The bottom also has plenty. So I just cut that off and keep that. But that's the way I like to just slice peppers. I like to just in one smooth motion, just kind of go around the core and then it's easy to slice. It's clean. It's ready. It's good to go. Am I missing anything in the chat? Mussy, let me know because I have it on the screen there, but I'm not, I sometimes can miss it.
I'm not seeing anything yet in the chat, but I'll let you know if somebody does chat a question.
Thank you.
So.
Super. Thank you so much. Okay. So then I have mushrooms. So what I do with the mushrooms, I clean them just with paper towel. If they are very dirty, I will run them under water. I'll wash them. And then I slice them in half and then slice them in 2 slices. Okay. So that's my next layer here. After that, I have 4 radishes. And again, I love the pop of color of the radishes, the white and the purple. It's just so pretty.
Radish is like my favorite veggie, I think. So good in salad.
Yeah, so crunchy.
Underrated. It doesn't get enough attention, but it's so good.
True.
So good.
And you know what? I've seen watermelon radishes getting really, really popular, but I haven't seen them in my grocery store. So I'm still on the search.
I've never found it. I
see
pictures and I'm like, when will the day come?
And they're beautiful. They are beautiful. Yeah. They're like a whole tie-dye color in the radish. They're stunning. And then we have toasted almonds just to top it off, give it some crunch. I didn't have almonds, so I'm using macadamia nuts and I am dropping that right on top. Okay, so this is my salad and I'm going to show you now our avocado dressing. And I love putting avocado in dressing. It just makes it creamy and thick and so tasty. And yes, for the crunch, that's true. And that with the nuts also. The nuts also give it that like perfect crunch and perfect salt. It's amazing. Okay, so I had a measuring cup prepped before. And just before we started, I had the oil in it already. It smashed onto the floor. So give me 1 second. I'm like currently in a bit of a sea of oil on my kitchen floor, but you can't see it, so we're good, right? I have a measuring cup here, and I'm going to do this. You can do this by hand and smash it and whisk it, or you can do it with a hand blender or a food processor or just a regular blender. And that way, you know that the avocado will be super creamy and perfect. So a half an avocado. So I'm just going to slice that open and do half. But of course, if you're not planning to eat the other half anytime soon, just double the recipe then and use the full avocado. This dressing, because it has the other ingredients in it, it has the lemon, it has the oil, the lime, it doesn't turn brown. So this dressing could last you about 2 days in the fridge, but use it pretty quickly. So I'm just putting in a half of an avocado right into my dressing cup. A third of a cup of olive oil. So the cup before I had was clear. That's why I wanted that one so you could see what I'm doing. But I shattered it. Okay.
Michelle wrote that her sister and her saw a movie when they were little. There was a princess who loved radishes, and that's all they would eat for snack for years.
That's good education. I love that.
That's really funny.
That's awesome. Okay, then we have a lemon and a lime. So again, I'm going to use my squeezer here to juice that. Again, it just keeps that easy and clean. And this is the citrus here is what's instead of putting in vinegar, that's typically in salad dressing. So some vinegar is chametz on Passover, so we don't use vinegar. So here, wow, that smells so good, that lime. Okay, so I have that one, this one, and just the combination of lime and lemon with avocado.
Guys,
really
feel
beautiful.
free to speak up because I see like Sarah wrote like those squeezers are the best. Like, please feel free to unmute and pop in with comments so we
and talk. Yes.
So we hang out together. You don't have to type it and wait for me to read it for you.
Yes, talk. Cut me off.
But Mussy, it's more fun that way.
Yeah.
I sort of forgot this was live. I thought I was watching, like I was like imagining watching Netflix, like a Netflix watch party, because it was just, it's so professional.
Yep. And a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so this is it. This is all it is. It's avocado, olive oil, lemon, lime, salt. And I'm going to use this stick blender. This is my friend. This is my best friend, this one. I just find, I think in my head, it's easier to clean than a food processor. Even though it's all dishwasherable.
Totally.
Hang on, I gotta just move over. My plug is off to the side. Give me 1 sec. Sorry about the noise. Okay, so it is perfectly creamy. 1 second, can you see that? It is perfectly creamy and thick, just the right consistency. And I will pour it over the salad so that you can see. You can see
Do you
that.
need any kind of sweet element to balance out the citrus?
Here, I don't put any sweetener in. You could put in some sugar if you like a sweeter salad dressing. I personally like it more savory, more tart. So I like it, I guess it's not too strong. It's not, because the avocado and the oil really balances it out. Okay, so I just like to drizzle that right over the top. It's such a beautiful green color. So this way, everybody taking is gonna get some dressing. You see it's really covering the top nicely. And it's just a fresh, delicious, easy salad dressing for your spring salad. All right, we good? I wish I can pass it all to you.
What is the blender? Is it a hand blender that you were using?
Yeah.
Oh, let me show you. Yeah.
Which one you have. Yeah. So not everyone is familiar with all the kitchen gadgets.
Like looking on Amazon right now.
Oh, you know what? This is actually the Amazon brand. It's by Amazon Basics, actually.
Oh, really?
It's the hand blender. It is
called an immersion
called
blender sometimes.
Yeah, it's called an immersion blender, or this one actually just says hand blender. By Amazon Basics.
Oh, I found it.
I'll tell you what, this one is a little bit too powerful. I was looking at the voltage when I bought it. So it's great voltage. It's 120 volts, but it's a little too strong. I get it splatting sometimes. So the other one that I have, I would say get this one. It's a little better. I'm a little happier. I have this one for dairy. It's the Cuisinart Smart Stick.
I was about to say I have a blue one because I have a stainless steel for the meat and a blue
for meat and for dairy. Yep. That's funny.
Mine is
That's so funny.
The same way, but the Cuisinart has a high low button, which is what I like. At least mine does.
Yeah, you know what? Mine does it. Yeah, so they make all versions of it. Costco always has it. I like to get them. You know, they come in a set sometimes of the other pieces you can get. I find the other pieces useless. I never use them except for the tall measuring cup that it comes in, because then you know it's all going to blend without splatting all over the place. This is the Cuisinart.
I have one that has a dial on the top, and you can go from like 1 to 9, basically.
Yeah.
So it's really helpful.
This one does
also,
too.
when you use your immersion blender, you should always take it apart with the blade still in your dressing before you take. Mine has 2 pieces because you don't want to accidentally cut yourself.
Yes, that happens way too often. Exactly. Unplug it, or because things can get stuck inside. So we're always tempted to, just put our finger in to kind of just move things around. And there's no protection mechanism here like a food processor has or a blender has. So here you must, very good point, you must unplug it or disconnect it from the top half so that you don't do that, because it's painful. Don't do it. It's not a fun one. Okay, so that was our salad. You can go ahead and flip to the next page, the beet cured gravlax. This one is super fun.
I'm gonna re-put the file of the recipes in the chat because a few more people joined. So I'm sending once more. So whoever wants,
or you can message
the recipes, or message me. I'll send it to you. But if you want to see it now,
while we're doing it,
it's in the chat.
Wait, now is it the bigger side?
No.
Let me get these salmon out of the fridge. Okay, so gravlax. What's that? Oh, we're gonna make lox. The gravlax is super, super fun. It's like lox, except that we don't smoke it. So it's not a smoked salmon lox. It's a gravlax, which is something that you can really tweak it to make it yours. You can put anything on it and it'll be super delicious. We're doing it beet cured. So we are adding a beet layer on top, which the color then kind of seeps into the top layer of the salmon and gives it this beautiful pink red kind of tone to the gravlax. And then when you slice it, it has like a perfect purple edge. So that's what's fun about the beet cured, but you don't have to do the beet step. You can skip it and keep it real simple, and it is really good. I actually learned this from my brother. He made this in his dorm room. He was like, this is the best dorm room food because you don't need an oven, you don't need a burner, you don't need anything. You need salt and sugar and some dill and a piece of salmon, and you're done. And 3 days later, you have a delicious gravlax. So let me grab my salmon. Let's do this. So what we do is, and here's with a pound of salmon, I would say do a bigger amount. Do like 2-3 pounds at a time. And that way you have enough to go around. Once you're doing it, it lasts forever. So it's really fun. It's really fun to have. Okay, so I've got my 1 pound, it's a bit under a pound actually, of salmon right here.
I think one full size salmon is usually around 3 pounds. So like if they're doing one side of salmon, they should triple the recipe or double it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just go ahead and triple it. And but I'll show you here the process. So maybe actually doubling it is enough if you're doing it with 3 pounds, because we're just doing a nice layer of salt and sugar and pepper. And that's what cures it in the fridge with our cans that kind of just press down onto it and causes the curing process. So let's do this. I'll show you step by step. So we have a pound of salmon fillet with the skin on. Mine actually does not have the skin on. This is all they had in the store today. So if you have without the skin, that is totally fine too. What you can also do is if you want to do 2 sides of salmon or 2 smaller pieces, you can do one, fill it, and then put the other one and then plastic wrap it. I'm doing just one side, but know that you can do 2 and just kind of sandwich it. And what we're going to do is first, we are going to grate our beet either by hand or in a food processor. And you're just going to grate that up. And this is what gives it that beautiful color. The skin, the peel is on. I didn't even bother to peel it because we discard this after. So I just washed the beet and I grated it. And we mix our beets with some orange juice, lemon juice. So a half an orange, a half a lemon. And then we put in some chopped dill.
Okay, so we have our orange, half an orange here. Give that some juice. Half a lemon. Where's my squeezer? It's back there. Okay, half a lemon here.
Mushky, maybe you put your phone like on a funny angle because your voice suddenly completely changed.
My voice did?
Yeah, like
maybe my AirPods moved.
Maybe it just like sounds.
You hear me now?
We hear you. It's just like you're behind a curtain a little bit.
Still?
Yeah, I don't know why. So weird. It's like,
oh no.
I mean, we hear you clearly. It's just not as not the way it was before. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Now?
Ah, that's much better. Perfect.
Yeah, much better. Yeah, it was. You were like in a curtain, like you were the Wizard of Oz, you know, behind.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, something. Let me know if that happens again. I turned off the Bluetooth and now it's back. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have the orange and the lemon juice here. And then we are going to also add in our chopped dill. Okay, the more, the merrier. I have a handful here. Honestly, this gives it such beautiful flavor. And if you want to skip the beet process, keep the dill. So just the dill and then the salt, pepper, sugar, and that's a perfectly delicious gravlax. Okay, so we have our beets, our dill, our orange, and our lemon, and then we are going to put in a tablespoon of salt in this mixture. Okay, this is a teaspoon, so I'm going to do 3 of these, and we're going to mix this up. And this is going to be 1 element of our beet cured gravlax. Our second element is going to be here. I have it here in a bowl right next to me, this bowl. And that is our 2 tablespoons of sugar, the remaining 3 tablespoons of kosher salt, and a teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, so that is all in here. And this is our rub. This is our salt and sugar rub. This is what does the curing process on our salmon. So this is very important. I know people like to skip the sugar because they don't want sugar in their food, but here it kind of needs it for the curing process. Okay, and then what we do is, so we have our 2 elements over here. What we do is we work with our plastic wrap. Okay, so I have my roll of plastic wrap and I'm going to use this kind of dish. It's just the right size for my salmon. You want to put it in something that is going to sit in the fridge for the next few days. So you don't really want it to be a metal pan because it's going to take on a bit of the flavor. So stick with glass or plastic if you can. And you want it to have sides because the salmon could release some juices and the juices from the beets and stuff like that. So you want it to have sides to catch any moisture that's going to come out of your salmon. So what you want to do is start off with a layer of plastic wrap at the bottom of your dish, right over here. And then we are going to take our salmon and put that right onto our plastic wrap. Okay, so this is my salmon right in there. I'm keeping it attached still, or you can take like a nice long piece and cut it off. You want it to be enough to afterwards to wrap it even 2 or 3 times, just so you know it's closed. Okay, so we have our salmon. So you can see, or place a large piece of plastic wrap at the bottom of a baking dish. And then firmly rub the salt mixture onto both sides of the salmon, okay? So give that a little mix. Make sure your salt, sugar, and pepper are, evenly combined and as even as possible. And you're going to heavily, okay? It's going to be a lot. You're going to cover, I'll lift it to show you in 1 second, or let me move this closer better. And you're going to really heavily cover that salmon, okay? This is what does the curing process. And this was actually from Sweden. They've been doing this for years. And it's just really been, it's been their way, before refrigeration to keep fish for a long time. Okay, so now I put some salt here at the bottom, and I'm just going to flip over my salmon, sprinkle some more of my mixture. I'll put most of it there, cover that up as best as I can. And then I'm going to flip it back over. So I already have a layer of salt and sugar, pepper here. So I'm going to flip it back so it really sits in that. And then put the rest on top. But honestly, whichever way you do it is fine. Just make sure you have a good layer of your salt, sugar, pepper. And even if you have the skin on, you do still want to salt, sugar, and pepper the other side. This is really what helps, suck out all the moisture of the salmon and cures it into our gravlax. Okay, so you have here your salmon, and you can see it's already starting to get absorbed into it. It's not as thick as it was before. It's not as thick as a white layer. And then the next step is we cover it up with our beets, orange, lemon, and dill. And again, here, if you wanted to skip that beet step, you would just put on a whole bunch of dill to really well cover your salmon, okay? So looks so beautiful as well. I'm going to cover with this mixture, and we're discarding all of this after. So really everything, we're just keeping the salmon. And this needs to sit in the fridge for a minimum of 48 hours. Best is like 72 hours. So if you wanted to make it for Shabbat, you would start Tuesday, Wednesday. And beautiful, how gorgeous is that? Okay, so our next step, let me just rinse my hands and then we will close up. We will close our, you get a towel. We will close our plastic wrap salmon pocket, okay? What was I going to say? And I just forgot. I have no idea. Okay, so go ahead now with the plastic wrap, and we're going to close it as tightly as we can so that it really presses everything together. But the cans will also finish that up. So you don't have to stress about this step too much if it's like too messy. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. If you don't want to sit and grate the beets, you can buy like the ready vacuum packed cooked beets or canned beets, and you could just put that right on top. It doesn't need to be shredded. It could just be chopped up, diced, and placed right on, okay? So here I have my layer over it. Open over with beets. Nice. How do you make your gravlax? What do you put on it?
I make mine the same as yours, only I have never tried it with the beets, but I always have some in the fridge.
With the dill. Yeah,
dill and salt, sugar, pepper, the same. I've made it for decades, so. But I'm looking forward to trying it with the beets. That sounds great. And
yeah, you know what? It gives it such a pretty, of course, it gives it such a pretty color on that layer when you slice it. It just gives like that perfectly purple edge. It's beautiful. So I have some extra plastic wrap here. I'm going to gently lift it and just try to go in with a second layer of plastic wrap. But again, don't sweat this step too much. Whatever you do is good. Okay, so here I have my wrapped up salmon. Okay, and now what I do is next is I just place my cans. So if you have a bigger salmon, you would put a few more, and you really want to press it. Okay, cover as much of the salmon as you can, and you're going to press it onto your salmon. So the weights really just push it down. I've got some pitted green olives and some pickled cucumbers in brine. That's going to be our canned goods for today, but whatever you have. And that's going to be a perfect weight for your salmon. And then refrigerate this. So 48 hours to 72 hours, and you're good to go. When you slice it, what you're going to do is take off all of the beets, kind of just scrape it off right into the garbage, scrape off the salt as well. Don't rinse it, just kind of scrape off what you can, and then take your knife, make it nice, make sure it's nice and sharp, and you're going to cut it horizontally, okay? So you're going to cut slices, thin, small slices, as thin as you can, this way, horizontally from the top of the fish. And you'll just kind of work your way down towards the skin till you get thin, even slices. And then you can either roll those up and put it on a platter, or just, you know, put it away like that in a Ziploc bag in the fridge for another day. And super fun, super good. And again, no oven, no burner. It's just a fun, easy. It's got a few steps, but it's just a really fun food.
You have to get like a specific grade of salmon, or can you use any salmon since you're eating it raw?
That's a great question. Right. So it doesn't need to be sushi grade because we are curing it in the salt and the sugar in the fridge. So this is a form of cooking it, you know, so it doesn't need to be sushi grade, like for sushi and stuff like that. Cause if you're eating it raw, because we're not totally eating it raw, we are cooking it just in the form of salt and sugar and a fridge and some cans. Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
Next up, sure. Next up, we have our Passover brisket, and then we finish off with dessert. We'll see how we're doing on time. But for now, let me clear up my space here. Sorry, my mess is growing behind me. Okay. It's the joys. Oh, my little cups all over the place. Okay. So the brisket I have today is tiny. It's like a little more than a half a pound. Again, because I don't want waste, and I don't want to make too much and then freeze it here because I'm not really going to have many eaters for it. So I'm going small, but the recipe on here is for 2 to 3 pounds of brisket. This is a second cut of brisket. The second cut has more fat, so that really gives it more flavor when it cooks. And the first cut is also perfect. It's also great. And this recipe also works for any type of roast, any beef roast that you have as well. So it doesn't specifically need to be a brisket. So what we start off with is we sear the brisket on all sides. Actually, well, first we season it. So let me start heating up my oil here so that I can work on my sear. Give me 1 second. Okay, so that I'm heating up about 2 tablespoons of oil in a large frying pan, or you could even do it in a pot just to accommodate your brisket. If it's very big and you're stressing out with trying to sear a giant brisket, skip this step, okay? Just work on getting it into the oven. It's just a nice added step for it. The reason we do it is, first off, it just locks in the juices, so it keeps it more moist. It also just gives it a really nice color on all sides. You know, when we just bake it, we get that very simple one-tone brown. Here, when we sear it, we get that deeper color. Okay, so 2 to 3 pounds of brisket, salt and pepper. Okay, so I have, and I didn't write an amount for the salt and pepper here because it really varies on your brisket. But what you want to do is very evenly season all sides of that brisket. Okay, so I have just some kosher salt right here. So I am going to just give a little sprinkle on the top, give a shake of pepper here, and then flip it over. with my clean hand now, I will get some more salt. Try to shake some pepper here. If I can get anything out without washing my hands. Okay. And then my oil is heating. So I will put it on there and I'll just show you because it takes time for all of it to sear. And I'll tell you what we do next. So I'm just going to put this onto my oil. And you want to press it down either with tongs or just with your hand if it's not that hot yet, to really make sure that the full surface of the brisket is touching the pan, okay? So you want it to get an even sear on all sides. So we just start with the bottom here. And then we keep on flipping. And you'll even try to do the sides if you can, if it's not gonna be too messy and too difficult, okay? And then that's going there for about 5 minutes on all sides so you get a nice golden crisp on each side. And then what I do is in my roasting pan, I have here an onion sliced. I'm going to show you the onion in 1 second. I have my sweet potato chopped up. I have a carrot chopped up, and it could be roughly chopped. It honestly doesn't matter how you go about it. It can be big. You're really just using these vegetables for flavoring. I have a tomato in here chopped up, and then I do this afterward, but for now, while it's still searing, I have a cup of dry wine. I'm using a white wine here. And then I also put in a cup of vegetable broth. You could use water, but the vegetable broth gives it more flavor. So easiest is when you're making, or even chicken broth, if you have extra chicken soup lying around, or if you have some extra vegetables or the roots of the vegetables, you can just throw that into some water, let it sit for about an hour, put in some salt, and there you have a delicious vegetable broth that you can use for anything. So it's just a fun added flavor, but water absolutely works. So this goes into my pan. And this gives it such a nice smell, such good flavor. And I'm going to just set that aside for a minute while I show you. Okay. Well, it's pretty loud there. I don't know if you hear it. You hear that?
Yeah, we hear the sizzle.
You hear it, right? Okay, good. Yeah. Perfect.
My Khani said it looks really good. That's the feedback so far.
Thank you, Khani. So here with my onion, I just want to show you really quickly just the easiest, simplest way for slicing an onion or dicing an onion. So you have your hairy side, and then you have your other side, the stem. So what you're going to do is slice off the stem side, not the hairy side, just so you have a flat surface, okay? Set that down so it's flat, it's not rolling all over the place. It's going to sit in one place. So it is pretty nice. And should we flip you? What do you say? I don't think it's been 5 minutes, but it's beautiful. And I'm going to press it down again. I'm going to move the camera here real quick and I'll show you my spear. As you see here, I've got some really nice color. And here I press it down to make sure that it gets evenly seared on all sides. Okay. Yeah, where am I? All right. Okay, so while that's working, I have my vegetable prep. And then that's really it. I cover it really, really well and I slide it into the oven, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Here, so with that hairy top, take your knife and slice it down in half through the hairy end. Okay. Once you've done that, now you go ahead and peel it. So peel off the outer layer. And it peels really nice and easy because we just sliced it. Keep the hairy end intact. And then I'll show you the dice and the slice. So with this one, I'm going to slice it. So this is just what holds my onion together. So I keep that in, and then with this side, I just slice, okay? So I just give a nice slice, just like that, thinly or thick, however you want it. Here, you don't need to be too particular. And here I have a slice, and here it just protects my fingers also, holds the onion together so it's not jumping all over the place. And here is my sliced onion that I'm going to use for the brisket, okay? With this half, I'm going to show you real quick how I dice. So what I do for the dice is first I hold it on top, so I still have my hairy end intact. I hold it on top, and with my knife, I just go through it. Okay. Then I turn it towards me, so hairy end away from me, and I slice it lengthwise. And again, the hairy end really just holds it together here. Then I turn it to the side, and then I slice down, and I get a perfect, even dice here. Okay, let's see here. The perfect dice from that half. So I put this onion with my brisket and with the sweet potato, the carrots, the tomatoes. All this is just to give it flavor while it cooks. And it says here at 350 for an hour plus 20 minutes per pound. Okay, so it really depends on the weight of your brisket. So that means for a 3-pound brisket, you're going to roast it for 2 hours. So cover it really, really well so that it steams while it's cooking as well, and keep it going for about that long. So I'm saying an hour is like an hour base time. And then if it's 1 pound, it's an hour, 20 minutes. If it's 2 pounds, it's an hour, 40 minutes. Kind of work your way like that. And when you take it out, you want it to be nice and tender. You don't want it falling apart. It's not a cold brisket. You want it to slice nicely. So once you roast that for 2 hours, take it out of the oven, bring it to room temperature, and then refrigerate it. So once it's refrigerated, it firms up nicely, and this way you can get a perfect slice, and you'll slice that against the grain. And then you'll put it back in the roasting pan. So either freeze it after you slice it, or you can, I mean, if you do it close enough to the holiday, then just, rewarm it and you're good to go. So really, this is a great, great meat to make in advance. And, check that one thing off your list, especially that it takes plenty of time in the oven. It takes over the oven for some time. So really just cook that up and freeze it if you want. And then it reheats really, really beautifully. Okay. The kiwi sorbet and the almond cookies are super, super fun. And I'm going to show you here a finished product because we're running out of time to demo the cookie part. So I'm just going to show you here. This is just these 4 ingredients. It's literally just this. 3 cups of ground almonds. So you can either get, you can either get the ground almonds, like actual almonds ground up nice and fine, or you can use almond flour. That's fine too. Just be pure almonds, nothing else in there. And then a cup of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and 2 eggs. Okay, and then mix it up. I like to do it by hand and really mix it. It's like a nice sticky batter. And then it bakes at 350 for 10 minutes or 11, 12 minutes, depending on how big you make them. And they're so moist, so good, and they're gluten-free. They're easy. They're just a fun added snack on Passover. And, I just stick to this. I make a big batch of this, and I don't bother with much other desserts with cakes and cookies that are Passover friendly. I just like to do a batch of cookies, pull them out every so often with this sorbet, and you have a good, delicious dessert. It's got plenty of sugar, but dessert, what can I do? So that is the almond cookies for the sorbet. In the food processor, I have it prepped behind me, but I think we're out of time, so I will leave that. I'll just describe it here real quick. It's really just the kiwis, the sugar, and the orange juice. Blend it in the food processor or in a blender until it's just fully blended, till it's nice and creamy. And then either drop that into popsicle makers, or you can drop it into just a container, an airtight container, freeze it till it's solid, and then you have a delicious sorbet. It's easy, it's good. And the kiwis just give it a nice pop of color. So you have the very white looking almond, then you have the pop of green, and you have a delicious dessert. And also make it in advance, freeze it up. Do this with mango, with strawberries. What else can you do with this? Like pineapple. You really can do this same thing with any fruit you have. Freeze it up, and it's good. Any questions?
Wow, that was so fun.
Thank you, Mussy.
All the comments are just like, looks so good, delicious, looks great. Hope everybody enjoyed. I popped the thank you guys for joining. I popped the recipes again in the chat if you didn't have it, and enjoy your wine. And PSA before we log off, Torrenti is tomorrow, and if you don't know where to get shmura matzah for Passover for your Seder, please let me know. Costco sells it, HEB at Far West sells it, so make sure you get the round matzah for Pesach. Best kind of matzah to have your Seder with. So looking forward to celebrating Passover with everyone all together in Yerushalayim again, and eat all this great food.
Thank you, Mussy. This was fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Have a beautiful holiday and take care.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Good night. Take care. We'll see you.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night. Thanks for joining.
Good night. Good night. Good night.